Welcome, crew, to What Are Your Three, a Channel 3 podcast where we take a member of the Channel 3 community, discuss 3 games of their choosing, go through some honorable mentions and some other odds and ends for a nice little video game discussion. I'm Dan, and with me, as always, Ray.
What's going on, everybody? Today's guest is one of the admins of the newest Cups League group that has formed on Channel 3. It is Friz. Friz, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on today. I appreciate it.
We're excited to have you here. We're excited to talk about games and your giant manifesto that you sent us of games that we have somehow whittled down to a couple to talk about.
I whittled it down even more than what we're going to talk, and so from the original submission, so it's all right.
The good thing is this is an audio medium, so no one can see me pointing a gun at you to make sure this stays on track.
Please, I just want to mention this one last game. No, okay.
We'll get there.
Actually, hold on. Can I actually start with one that I didn't put on the list? I totally forgot about, and just give me a real quick
Why not?
snippet.
You know what? Why not? Let's do it.
Just Lego Dad's hate of Star Fox 64. I just need to draw some attention to that, because when I have never been so compelled to reach out and just be like, tell someone their opinion is wrong, but that was like the one moment. So I need to address that. It's a spectacular game. It's got multiple different endings for it. Masterpiece. Okay.
Listen, there's times where I literally wrote a review of Spider-Man 2 today that said other people's opinions are wrong. Because I find several of the negative opinions I've read on that game to be in what I will call bad faith. I will say that much, but I will also say there are times where a game's just not on my frequency. That's what I have to say, and sometimes I just chalk it up to that. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, well, right along those lines, I was actually, when I first got to Channel 3, I was surprised because I am like, and kind of we'll get into it a little bit later too. Like, I'm a Zelda aficionado. Like, I play the games. I played every one of them. I was surprised at how many people haven't. And just like the different opinions there, that was surprising to me.
Why are you attacking Ray? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I feel personally attacked right now.
I wasn't thinking of Ray when I said that. I was actually this one. I don't know. This
Ray has played 2. That's the important thing here.
I've played 2 Zelda games.
I was actually thinking about Joel.
Oh yeah,
and one in particular. So, well, maybe we can get to that one a little bit later. Or no, actually, I'm just going to go right.
He's got the "I'm on a boat" tagline correctly used. Like, we got to take it easy on him. We'll see what we get.
Link to the Past, though. Like, he publicly admitted to not playing that. I was blown away.
I also have not played it.
I'll tell you what, having been replaying it in the background, taking screenshots for targets, it's actually a much quicker game than I remembered it.
It is quick. It's not linear, but it is linear enough.
All right, hang on.
You're guided.
Speaking of linear, I gotta get this back on the track. All right, let's jump into the official. Obviously, needless to say, Friz has had a difficult time whittling down our games here. I think you've got a pretty solid 3 though that we're going to go through here. We'll discuss some more in the honorable mentions, but we're going to start off with. I'm going to make sure I get the full title here because this very specifically identifies which version of the game you're picking. Super Mario RPG: Legend of the Seven Stars. Which is not the title of the remake, just so we're clear. They just called that one Super Mario RPG. So we know we're discussing the Super Nintendo Classic.
So the reason, again, the Super Nintendo Classic versus versus Mario, Super Mario RPG, the one that was just re-released. I haven't gotten through it yet. So I was a little bit nervous. Now I know there is some extra content. I'm not going to give away any spoilers or anything like that, unless it was in the original game and I'm going to talk about it. But I just felt it was appropriate to I'll talk about the reason why the SNES one is so near and dear to my heart. So I did not actually have an SNES, and Ray, it is SNES. That's another call out.
He's just sitting there. He's just sitting there with a loaded gun.
Listen,
it's like an old western. He's sitting there with a gun, just like out of the holster under the poker table, pointing it at people.
Go ahead, talk about your SNES all you want. It's fine.
We can talk about the SNES. But
Friz, we just got to move past it. You just ignore him.
We will. will. I'm just
gonna
let it go.
Slugs the 2-liter Pepsi.
I mean, if we just want
to 2-liter Pepsi bottle.
If we just want to start, like, if something is an abbreviation and we're just going to go for it, like, I mean, brub. Do we pronounce BRB brub? Like, is that how we roll?
No, because it doesn't sound right. Only ones that sound correct do we do this for. It's not an all or nothing thing. This is not an all or nothing thing. This is a situation. I'll
get back to you ASAP. Well, I guess that one does work.
This is going to be a get this back on the. This is a test.
Okay.
This is a test of getting things back on the rails.
Mario RPG. Let me talk about it.
Friz proving me right by saying ASAP and not ASAP. Thank you very much. This is a good talk.
I did promise I'm not going to swear. I don't want any bleeps on it. So, all right.
It's still
Mario RPG. It is very, because we're going to get to a list. Okay. So, Mario RPG, the reason why this one for me, I didn't have an SNES growing up. And I had a buddy that had one. I remember going over. This is the first time I ever went over to his house. I knew this. It was like a friend of my sister's little brother, and he was a year older than me. If you can kind of follow along with that. But like, I went over to his house one day, and we're just like, okay, we're gonna hang out. And I remember like he was playing it when I got there, and it just like it captivated me. And I watched for like a little bit, and then I think we switched over and started playing something else. So like I remember having that. Okay, that's a game I'm getting. At that point, it was kind of like the end of the SNES lifestyle, the lifespan of it, in terms of like new games coming out and everything. So I remember might have been 7th or 8th grade. This ROM program came out, SNES 9X. I don't know if that rings a bell for either of the two of you. It was an emulator that it was on, I believe it was on Windows, but it may have been Linux or something like that. But we were able to get it onto a couple of school computers. And you would download the ROMs for it, and you could actually play them. So, like, my first run through with Super Mario RPG was in study halls in school. Like, the way I'd get a pass to go to like the computer lab or something like that, and I would hop on there and I would just grind it. And I had to make sure that I got the same computer every single time where my save files were. But it's just a gem in my opinion. It was my first RPG, the first turn-based RPG that I had ever played. And it was just the story behind it. I thought it was just unique to a Mario game. So even as 12, 13 kid, like I kind of realized, hey, this is a pretty neat thing that Nintendo did with Squaresoft.
What was it that caught your eye though when you were over there with your sister's cousin's boyfriend's ex-roommate or whatever? Absolutely nothing.
I had never seen a turn-based RPG. So, and that was a couple years before I'd actually played it. So it was like I had that. After I had seen him play it that one time, I was like, oh, I got to get back and I got to play that. And I want to say he was getting the 6th star. So, and for like, this is going to be a spoiler for those that haven't played it. I remember like he beat the boss that you thought was going to give it to you, and then it gets swiped away. And it continued on. And I just remember like watching that part of it, and I was like, oh, I've got to get there. And then once I started playing it, it's very late in the game. It was kind of like, I had to work for it. And it was a challenging enough game. Now going back and playing it, I'm like, okay, I can breeze through this pretty easily. There's a couple of tricks to level up quickly. But no, it was just an absolute joy to play. So the action button and like the intuitiveness of when you're in a battle of actually hitting a button to not just like, okay, we're going to just punch something, we're going to go for it. Like there's actually like, it keeps you into the battle. And with the update, with the new game that was released on the Switch, like I know that became like one of the features that they had. So it's just a really fun RPG. And I think with it just being re-released right now is like a perfect one for me to talk about. I don't think anyone had ever talked about it on the podcast. I might have missed one, but it was just it's a gem for me. It just brings back great memories. And it really was like I beat it in school. And then I did not own an SNES until I was like 27 years old. So every replay has been emulated. So
I think they took great care to make the game more engaging because, like, you were one of many people I think who I was a turn-based RPG guy, but there were a lot of people that this was going to be their first initiation into it, so they had to kind of make it a good bridge, I think.
Yeah, it's straight. It's obviously it's linear, it plays right through, but there's like enough extras too that you've got some replayability to it. I feel like, like the second time through, you might think, oh, I'm going to do it this way. Like, what the boss battles are. That part of it became a little bit predictable. So I'm very excited to continue playing the new version, because I know there's been some additional things put in there. I mean, this was like, you've got a hidden boss, and that was so cool for me to like finally find that and just get my ass kicked. There you go. And that was like very cool when I was playing through that. Like, oh wow, all of a sudden the learning curve got real steep real fast.
What is it about like the Genos and Malos of the world in here that have had no other? We're going to talk about another Mario character later that
no other appearances, right?
Barely had any other appearance. Yeah, but the Geno and Malos of the world who have had this like hold on people for a quarter of a century now, that they've stuck with them. Like, what is it about the characters that's stuck in this one that aren't just? I
think like Mallow, it's just so, it was just so off the. Just what is this story? He thinks he's a tadpole? Like, what? It was just so off the wall that you're just like, okay, like we're gonna run with it. But then with Geno, I think it's like I forget. I don't know, to be completely honest, because as soon as I get another character like Bowser enters the party, Geno hits the hay because he's just not strong enough. But I am a complete tryhard with this. I'm Mario, Peach, Bowser. I'll say it through and through. But I think what you forget that he's just a doll. Like he's the conduit for that. And I think there might be some fan theory out there that it might be connected to Mario Galaxy a little bit, and a certain Rosalina character from those games. Like, he's sent from the stars above. Like, is there something there? So I think it does. It gives you a lot to talk about.
I can't wait till the Super Mario Movie 2, whatever they're going to call that, addresses that. Now they're going to have to address that.
Go everywhere. So, but yeah, so that's Mario RPG. It's if you are listening and you haven't played it, just don't drop everything and go play it. But it's a gem.
It's a good. Don't be turned off by the turn-based RPG. It was an early one too, for the way you mentioned. They really wanted to Mario it up. I think Nintendo was coming off like the Philips CDI debacles. They were very careful about like who they partnered with and how they partnered, lent their characters out, and like they wanted something that was still engaging for people. So you had those interactive battles that weren't just, press a button and wait. You had to actually do stuff too.
Yeah. And being with Squaresoft too, like you get some familiarity of what, like if you have any experience with any of the Final Fantasy games, like it's gonna be like you're gonna see little elements, but it's just gonna be like it's gonna be a dumbed down version of it. But it's enjoyable. It's got a neat story. It's different for the Mario franchise. So
you talked about using the beef of Bowser. How was it? Because that was the first time I remember being like, "Oh, Bowser's on my team. Let's do this."
Oh, he's stacked. He's awesome. So he's like, as soon as you get him, he's in the party. He's never leaving. So, but then, I mean, like, there's some mechanics in it that make it, if you figured it out, and I didn't the first couple times, like, as soon as you figure out how to get the lazy shell, the game becomes just, it's hard to die. Is the one, like, it's very hard to lose a battle because Peach becomes she's just over-defensed. And then Mario just kicks butt. So, watched it there.
So, all right. Well, you teased the Legend of Zelda coming into this earlier. We're going to take our first pass here talking about the Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. Now, I assume is this the glorious greenish black Game Boy iteration here?
Of course, if I'm talking the original, I will say like DX is where I've spent the most time. So DX is where I've spent the most time, and I do unapologetically put this at the top of my Zelda list. I know that it is not the best game, but it is the most nostalgic, enjoyable one for me. So this was, again, I had a friend that played this game. And so like a little bit of backstory, I'm sort of like, oh, I've got a friend that had this. I got a friend that had this. I lived in the middle of like the country. So video games were like my entertainment when I was growing up. So like I'd play games through and through, in the summertime, it's just a little harder to get to see people if you don't live in town and everything. So like I played a lot of video games, and I played the same ones over and over again. But this one was, again, I borrowed it from a friend, and it was the first game that just cover to cover, just beat everything, found every secret seashell, found every heart piece without the use of a guide. So, and there are a couple of the heart pieces that it was like, I just think of one in particular that was just crazy. It's just in the middle of the water off of the castle, and you're just like, I just remember one day just grinding around and finding that 12th heart piece and just being set. So,
yeah,
but no,
you have to look because it was there though. Like, oh, they're letting me go over this way, so I'm gonna go this way.
Yeah, and I just remember, like, it was like, why is this entrance to the water here? Like, there shouldn't be a staircase that leads you down here. There's no way to get into this water. Like, there has to be something in the moat around the castle. So, but that one, and just because I remember why I borrowed it from him is that he was stuck on the second level. So he wasn't even very far into the game, and he's like, can you see if you can find something? And so I remember the Bottle Grotto, it's the second level of the game, and we could not figure out how to get the Nightmare Key. And that was what you have to do if you don't remember is that, and again, spoilers for this almost 20 plus year old game.
30 for this one. This
30,
one's older.
Oh my, what, 30?
Yeah.
Wow. Jeez, I really.
Ray's
coming. He's taking age shots now for his careful.
Dan was around, right? Dan was around when that game came out. He would know that it's 30 years ago. That's all.
Wow,
there's a real just like OK Corral vibe to this podcast for some reason. There's just like it's like that episode of The Office where pointing guns at like finger guns at each other.
I just get a little testy sometimes, and I think I just bring that energy. Like you talk to cart people every now and then. But no, so it was a Bottle Grotto, and you had to get the Nightmare Key, and it was like no figuring it out. But then I remember it kind of, again, something's there that shouldn't be there. It would ping, the compass would ping in the one room. And it's like, okay, there's a skeleton dude, there's a Keese, and there's the bunny ear, the rabbit guy. And then I'm searching around, and then finally one of the owls actually tells you the order in which you have to kill them in order to unlock the key. So that was like a very like, oh, this is great. And then I remember like as soon as I did that, I just took off in the game, and I just started ripping through everything, started exploring everything, finding everything I possibly could. And like 2 months later, I finally gave him the game back, and he had forgotten he lent it to me. So I was like, okay, well, there we are. So, but no, that game is just it's like a special kind of nostalgia. I remember going through plenty of AA batteries, trying to beat it, trying to make sure I could like sneaking a light into my room to be able to play it at night, like trying not to, keep everybody in the house up with it. So it was just it's what I love. So, and it kind of like, it introduced me to the series, just the Zelda series overall. And there are just so many great games in it. And it's just, it's been my real passion with gaming has been like, okay, the new Zelda game is coming out. That's what I'm going to play. It's, I'm going to sink 150 hours into Tears of the Kingdom. I'm going to sink 200 hours into Breath of the Wild, all those. So
I have to ask, at that time, really kind of drink in any of the trippiness of this one. I mean, there's some property melding in here. There's the whole dream thing going on here.
Looking back at it, 100%. Like it's definitely doesn't. It's the off the beaten path Zelda a little bit. Like it does have, because like Marin, like that character, she's not Zelda obviously, and Talon, like, okay, that kind of looks like Mario. We got the mushrooms in the forest, like, yeah, I can see it. And then
the pet chain chomp in the main village.
Yeah, the pet chain chomp Bow Wow that they call, like, they say it's like a dog and everything. But again, it's like, since it is a dream, spoiler alert. I think like it kind of goes with some crazy things. Now there is the other thing in the animal village. There's the isn't there the nude model?
That's like, remember, you got me there.
I think nothing. there was some suspicion there, like what's going on there. So
I just have to shout out that I'm the one championing that we need Wart back in Mario. He's overdue for a comeback, but guess where he came back? He was in Link's Awakening, people.
Yeah, that's a great puzzle too, because that one, again, like very just intuitive to what you're, like what you're doing is like I'm sorry, like I'm ruining this game for somebody that's never played it before. So like I'm going to give a spoiler alert. Like if you don't want to know how to do this, I'll pause for a second. There we go. Okay, they should be gone now. So like when you read that first sign and it says go this way, and you go to the next screen, and you're like, which one do I read? And you got to realize like it lines up perfectly in the line for the next one. Like just a great puzzle mechanic that, again, like it was just fat, as a, I guess 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid when I was playing it. Now that you aged me there, like that was just a fascinating thing for me. The other one, I'm just going to throw a quick shout out. The other game that kind of like is along this path, because I love the 2D Zeldas. The 2D Zeldas is just a special place for it. Oracle of Ages. Like, I don't think a lot of people have played that game, and it just has awesome puzzles. So, like, I love that, just solving like a really good puzzle in a Zelda game. I think they were very creative in those days of what they were going through. That was a crossover too. Capcom made that.
Yes, that's right. I forgot that was one of their subcontracted ones.
Yeah,
I found a naked model, by the way.
Okay, for that game.
Because it didn't make it to America. It was.
Oh, okay.
That was one of two things they got rid of when it left Japan.
Okay, it was a hippo, right?
It was a hippo. It was a
hippo.
But in the original Japanese version, it is a topless hippo in the Japanese version. So it's supposed to be like a funny thing. And the Nintendo America was like, yeah, no, we can't do that.
Yeah,
good luck with that algorithm, Ray.
There you go. Apparently, also there's a mermaid. Is there a mermaid in Link's Awakening as well?
Right, yeah,
that you get a necklace for?
Yes, because it was a bra in the Japanese version.
Yep, there you go. Okay, that's the other thing they changed.
I know I've like read about it. So.
Yep, that's why she's supposed to be like embarrassed, because like her top comes off in the Japanese one.
Yeah,
and that's why she hides away.
That
necklace, you get the scale. So you can actually. I don't know if I'm pretty sure you could just grind it and figure out which one. That's actually. It is not required to do that side quest, probably, because it just gets you the magnifying glass. Again, spoilers all over the place. So, not something you necessarily need to beat it.
For anybody who skipped the spoiler part, I do really recommend the remake they did for the Switch. First of all, just looks fantastic. I don't know if you played that, Friz.
Yes, absolutely.
They really gave it its own visual style and perfectly recreated the thing.
No, they absolutely did, and they made it again. They added seashells, they added heart pieces. The dungeon maker, I don't know. I didn't really mess around with it.
I couldn't get into it. I tried.
It was so weird, and they were just like it was too set. Like, and again, like how I feel like that could be its own Zelda game. Would be a dungeon maker, like a Mario Maker.
You just picked the same like 9 block. You had to connect certain ways.
Yeah.
And like. You couldn't just connect whatever. The doors had to fit, like if it was a right door to a left door. Like it was really obtuse. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, and I think so. Like it kind of reminded me, but in a bad way, would be the dungeon in Skyward Sword where you move around the blocks, and like they have to match up in a certain way, so it locks you into it. But like that was, I thought that dungeon was brilliant for what it was.
Yeah, they basically just told the team that was that was making the Link's Awakening remake, we want Mario Maker, but for Zelda. So they just kind of tacked it in there.
We're going to tag it in at the back end of the game.
Really that's why it feels like there was about 10% effort, because again, there was somebody with a gun.
It was like with the DX, when the DX version came out, there was the whole new dungeon, the color dungeon, which was great. It was just added content. But then they were like, okay, we need one more thing. Let's throw in the photo thing, the photos, and you could take the pictures and all the locations. So did you know that was there?
Nope. Didn't play the DX, so no.
Oh, so the DX version, what you had to do is there were 12 photo opportunities that you had throughout the game. And some of them were locked. Like once you went by them, you couldn't re-unlock them. So there was like one where Marin and you you went to a cliff, and there was a mouse that came and took a picture of you, and you'd go back and you'd look at it. It was at the same location as the custom dungeon builder is in DX, that house there. So it was a photo shop. It was like a photo lab. So again, neat features they introduced in that was either 97 or 98 when that came. I know that one.
All right, one last question before I kick it back to Ray. Any thoughts or guilt as like the game is approaching towards the end, and like this world is kind of giving you this, hey, yeah, we know we're all going to be destroyed when you end the game and wake up and
yeah, maybe a little bit, but not on again, as a 6-7-year-old kid playing it. No, I'm like, I just want to get to the end of it. Like, wow, there's this awesome boss. Like, I mean, again, shout out, great boss battle at the end. But no, it was just looking back, playing it on the DX version, yes, because I'm sorry, not the DX, the Switch version. When they pulled that in, and it was just, it connected you to it more. It was sadder the way that it ended. The ending was, it was just great. Go play it if you haven't played it. Get on it.
If you the middle age existential dread is a little different than the
than
the preteen existential dread.
Yep, absolutely.
Hi, I'm Adnan, one of the co-hosts of Strangecast.
And I'm the other co-host of Strangecast, Adam.
Yes, this is Strangecast, Player One vs. the World's Life is Strange-centric podcast. We mainly talk about Life is Strange, but we also talk about games from Deck 9, from Square Enix, from Don't Nod, and we also bring on people from the community of Life is Strange, and also developers, and including voice actors. Many of whom have won awards for their performances.
So come check us out on all major platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Come check us out, Strangecast.
Cheers.
All right, we move to game number 3, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. We've made it here.
Yeah,
but before we talk about it, where does your history of Mario Kart start?
Okay, so my history of Mario Kart probably started on that day that Mario RPG started. It was one of the few days that I ever played Mario Kart, Super Mario Kart. I didn't play it too much, again, because I didn't have an SNES. And that one on an emulator was not that fun, and I still think it's a terrible game. I'm saying it right now, I don't like it. So I just can't get the controls down. But no,
you're in a safe place.
Yeah. Hopefully. There's some people that are pitchforking right now. I can see O2 probably getting upset with that one. He likes it. JPEG too. They're the two that really like that one. But no, so my first real foray into it was the N64 version. And that game has not aged well. The controls they're tough. The drifting is just
careful, Friz. You're gonna get Ray worked up here. You're not wrong.
I'm gonna get him worked up. I'm gonna get him worked up with it because I'm right.
I am the number one.
Andre, why would you say something so controversial and so brave?
Listen, I am the number one Nintendo 64 supporter, apologist. Like I'm like, no, we still play these games. They're all great.
Okay, hold on.
Card is not. Card is not in that category.
I think we actually might be the same person when it comes to 64 because I will defend that console and its awesome controller to anyone that wants to have the argument.
Exactly, except Mario Kart 64.
Mario Kart 64, it just didn't age at all. And I don't think, and this is maybe the controversial statement, it might have never been good. But playing the multiplayer version on the N64 was just great. The split screen, like you had 4 people there. I remember one of my buddies had a larger, like a 50, 60 inch, like that huge big box TV. And so I remember being able to play it on that, and it was just great. Like we had many an evening playing that game at night. Like that image is like, oh, you're back in your childhood. You're sitting there with a pizza and Mountain Dew playing it. Like that was it. Like that meme, every time it pops up, completely resonates with me. So N64. Then from there, I owned all of the other games. I owned Double Dash. I owned Mario Kart Wii. I didn't own 7 because I didn't have the DS. But like those big hitters, like I had them. I just didn't play them as much because it was kind of like that getting into college and high school. Like it was a little bit. It's funny because I was a 37-year-old talking about Mario Kart for 15 minutes. Like it's the greatest thing ever. It just wasn't cool to play Mario Kart in high school. Like I don't know if anybody else was in that same boat. Like it just wasn't the thing.
We forged a path for these people, Friz. Make them appreciate it.
We absolutely did. No, because now, like, I'm a teacher, so now when like Mario Kart comes up and my students are all into it. They occasionally watch me stream with it. They want to see what's going on with it. They think it's awesome.
Mickey wins has multiple championship rings for the state now.
Exactly. Well, no, I don't think he's gotten one in Smash. I don't think he's got one in Kart yet.
That's okay. I'm just saying. It's not about carts. It's just about like he's got rings.
I know it has. It's changed. So Mario Kart, Double Dash. Like again, played a little bit, just not for me most of the time. So that's my history with Mario Kart. And then so the Wii U comes out and get Mario Kart 8. Great game. Like it's updated. The controls are great. And I play it again, probably like sparingly. Like my wife and I will play it a little bit. 2013 when I think 14 when it first came out. I had it. I play Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U and the 150cc cups, like I'm beating them. I'm not like that successful with it. And then I remember like DLC content came out and I'm like, I don't want to pay for it. It was like when Halo 3 had DLC, that was like the first DLC I paid for. And I remember just being like, that's it. and feeling like, why do I got to pay more for a game I already bought? And there was all that. So I kind of like put it away. I didn't have any of the DLC tracks. So then the Switch comes out, and I am obviously Zelda launch title, all on board with it. And they say they're going to re-release Deluxe or DLC tracks. And at that point, I've got a 3-year-old. I'm a 1-year-old. So I'm like, all right, I'll actually be able to play Mario Kart. So I buy it. I run through it again. The DLC is awesome. And I don't know, I put it to sleep a little bit. Like, it just becomes backburner. I occasionally play with kids. And then one of my buddies, Chris, who's in the TEG gaming group, he's like, hey, I'm in a Mario Kart league. What are you talking about? Like, who is getting together and playing Mario Kart? Like, are you in person? And he explains the premise to me, invites me to the group, and I'm like, okay, I don't know if this is for me. Like, there's some weird things like Spitem going on, and all this other stuff getting posted on Facebook, and there's standings. I'm like, what is? And then one day, I'm like, you know what? Somebody needed a sub, and I was like, I'm just gonna hop in. I think it was actually Mace needed a sub for a team. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna get into it. I've played Mario Kart enough that I should be able to like hold my own. Like, I've beaten all the cups. Like, and you get humbled so quick in this group. Like, wow, I just came in 12th 6 times in a row, and nobody's mad at me. Like, that was the other people. So that was like, okay, I think I'm good, but I'm kind of terrible at this. So that was kind of how I got into the group. The next season I signed up for gangs, and it's just been kind of a whirlwind 7-8 months now that I've been playing it. So
yeah, I think that's everyone's initial reaction to any group you join.
Oh,
you join a group of people that have been playing a game all the time, and you're like, whoa, there's more, there's like other levels to this. Like,
because Chris told me, he's like, you got to know the shortcuts. I'm like, I know the shortcut. He's like, and you got to hit him all the time. I'm like, well, how do you not hit him with? And like, what do you mean you have to hit him every single time? Like, I want to be in first. I'm not gonna have mushrooms. And then I was never in. Always had mushrooms, and I'd always hit them, and I'd still not do well. So yeah, it was quite the learning curve. So
how long? Because I mean, you're one of the you're up there now when you're racing on a dad game.
Got pretty good.
How much time do you feel like you started putting in once you went through that first season?
First season of Kart Gangs, like and it's funny, you know, shout out to Greg, because he was probably the one that was the kind of nicest. He had the nicest way of saying I was bad at the game and could be better. You know, like that was just kind of like his way of doing it. And I like look back at it, like, oh, I'm gonna say like he believed in me, and that's why he didn't like, oh, just do whatever you're gonna do. But no, so that first season, I was in the Kart Gangs team, and again coming in almost last in every single race, like started to make a little bit of headway, and I'm like, I've got to get better. So like talking with the team, and Toots throughout, he's like, dude, beat all the ghosts. Like that's the way to do it. Greg's like time trial. And Froggy was really supportive with it, Croc, like that original team. And they're just like, all right, go after it and just practice the courses, learn the courses. Because I felt like that was the thing. Like I felt like I knew, if I knew what the courses were, I'd be able to. As soon as I figured out how to time trial well, that's when it started to really click. And I was able to start. I learned how to soft drift. I learned how to manage items a lot better. Like I working with the Kart Gangs team was like huge with that. Like they were giving me advice like, okay, here's how you should cycle through items. This is when you should cycle through items. And then I think one of the things that also benefited me just a little bit is the meta changed in that second season that I did Gangs. And I think what it did is I had already been using Yoshi Bitty Buggy. And then that became the go-to. So it was just huge for me. Like, I feel like I had a little bit of an edge, like, given to me by the Nintendo gods. And that's what kind of really did it. I started chatting with, like, more people in the group, like O2 and Mamba, just about time trialing, like, how it works, reaching out to Basic, and just figuring out, like, what were those strategies that were going to best fit. And I just went with it. And I've run all of the new tracks way more than I should have. Like, I have put hours and hours into the new courses on this game. And I've just figured them out and run some... I don't think they're that good at time trials, but they're getting there. I'm starting to really get them down. But I've grinded those new tracks. Like, when they pop up, it's like, oh, that's a friz track. It's like what I hear in the chat a lot. And I know, like, in gangs, teams, like, they don't pick the new tracks if I'm on the other team, like, hoping to, like, neutralize it a little bit. But what they don't know is I've started to now really put the hours into the old tracks as well. And I don't think there's any in the game that I don't like, I don't feel comfortable with. Mount Wario, just a hot take. It's a garbage track. I know. Oh, yeah, I know. I said it, and I mean it. It's just not a good track, and everybody in TDG just picks it over and
You're right. It's a great track.
I think it's an okay track.
It's just a C minus. I don't know. It's just there are those tracks in like the kind of like the lore of the group that have just get overpicked. That's one of them. That might be the most guilty overpicked track. It's like that's my go-to track. I remember this the first C3 event that I ever got into. The day I signed up for C3. Was it was a 1v1, and I remember like it was a double elimination. So the first round I was up against Ryan Mack. I barely got beat. It was actually like he beat me by just like a couple points, and I was actually kind of happy with that. Knocked Froggy out the next round, so it was kind of funny. But then like I get against O22, and Mount Wario came up because we're all doing random tracks, and like Mount Wario came out, and I just remember he gives me like this fist bump in the stream, and I'm just like, oh, what am I in for? And then he absolutely destroyed me on it. But no, so I'm starting to work my way through the old tracks a lot, and it's making a huge difference. Like I feel like I can run with pretty much, like I can run with everybody. There are definitely better in the group still. There's no question about it, but it's just an enjoyable thing. I've had such a great time with it. I look forward to Mondays. I look forward to Thursdays, the occasional Saturday. Like, it's awesome.
I'll give a quick shout out. Back when I did the TDG races a lot more, way back in the day. I don't know if it was like the second or third kart gang, so they did it by region. We actually we had the regional kart gangs races, which might have been right after the original one, because I know I did not play with the original Boo Boys that won that thing. And we did the regions, and I just happened to be in Mickey's region, and he took me for better or for worse. He took me in and gave a lot of advice. I got to shout out Mickey. Mickey was my guy, and then I had Gannon. I think I had Gannon like the next season. So back to back. They're the reasons I can race cars.
Legends.
Basically them too.
No, and they've been. It's funny because like we talk about, like obviously it gets a little bit competitive, but it's still like everybody's helping everybody. You're like, here's how, like maybe something you can do a little bit better. Like the item management, just running the courses, like it's been a helpful group. Like again, Greg was just he just pushed it. And again, I think it may have been a little bit of competitive, but he also wanted to see me do well with it. So the Froggy was actually the one that was always like, "You're better than we're gonna rank you, and it's gonna be a problem for a couple of seasons." So I remember like the second season I was into it, I started to really like it was my learning curve was quick. Some other people have said it in the group, like I picked it up quick, and it's been fun. I love it. I've only won one championship in kart gangs, which is a little frustrating now, like 9 seasons into it, but so love it.
All right, give us quick before we move on. Give us the favorite course and give us the worst course.
Worst course in the game. I mean, I know the popular answer is like Baby Park.
No, give us your worst course. Which one do you actually know?
Here, let me go with the best course. My favorite course in a game was one of the originals I time trialed. It's the most played course that I have in the game, Peach Gardens. I absolutely love that course. I could probably run it with a blindfold. I might have to try that at some point. Just see, like, can I like make my way through it? Just for fun, maybe like a stream thing. But worst course, like Piranha Plant Slide it's just not good. And there are some people in the group that love it. I'm just not one of them. So that would probably be my worst course, like my least favorite course. It's not my worst course, but least favorite in the game.
Well, we're going to move into honorable mentions. We're going to start with 3 specific, just a little bit, touching on a couple games here. Yeah. We're going to start with Final Fantasy VII, the PlayStation original. Quarter century later, we're still getting mobile games, new content. We're going to talk about the remake a little bit later, but this one came right up here, right up on deck for you as far as the first honorable mention goes. Yeah,
so this game was just absolutely like that high school level, or I guess like high schoolish level. Like this was the first, I guess, like I'm gonna call it like an epic game. it had a background. It had some meat to it. There is endless content in it. And I just remember grinding it with a buddy a buddy that I grew up with. And like he had it. And I just remember like this was a game that I could at, probably 12 years old, like I watch him play this game and it was just awesome. I remember the lead up to it. Like they had a big, like the marketing campaign was huge. I remember seeing these posters of Cloud standing outside of Midgar. Like, what is like, this is going to be something crazy. And so then just going through and playing it and now replaying it, at least the first chapter of it with a remake. No, it's just, it was awesome seeing limit breaks and just with other play. Like, I can't even remember like where, like I've just got these images in my head, like seeing Omni Slash for the first time. And I remember when my buddy Charlie beat it and we get to that last little bit. Again, spoiler alerts on a 25-year-old game. You get to that last thing and you unlock Omni Slash for that first time against Sephiroth. And we're like, well, we're not at the limit break. Like, is he going to have enough? And I remember like, oh, it just shows up. And he just goes to town on him. And it was just the ultimate culmination to that 45-hour game or however long it was at that moment. And it's just, again, it's a nostalgia thing for me. And then we grinded. And I remember like we would alternate with it, just getting Knights of the Round and getting a Golden Kokobo at Gold Saucer. It was like such a work that we had to do for it. So, but no, just
grind to get that Golden Kokobo.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so many races. I don't remember it. Like I remember you had to breed in a certain way. Like hopefully get lucky with an egg or something ridiculous. It was, but then Golden Saucer just in general, like it was essentially a casino in a game that I was playing as a kid. Like that was absolutely, and well here, that gets back to Mario RPG too. Like what a great feature, just throwing a casino in a kid's game. It was beautiful. So, but yeah, so Final Fantasy VII, great game. If you haven't played it, I don't know what to tell you. So Ray, I don't know if that shouted you out too.
It's one shot after another tonight. This is just what it is. It's just what it is tonight. All right, next game on the list, Sonic 2. Sonic 2, what a weird game because it's come up in post on Channel 3 and also doing a little digging behind it. It was at the time the fastest selling video game at that point. Nothing sold quicker. People consider it one of the best Sonic games.
It changed game marketing for that reason, Ray.
$10 million on game marketing on that one because they needed it. And it sold less than the original. All those things are true at the same time.
I wonder if it sold less than the original because Sonic the Hedgehog was a title that came with the system. Like if you take out the you just got the game because you bought a Sega. Like I wonder if that has something to do with it.
Yes, that is absolutely the reason why. It wasn't a launch title, but it was one like once they released Sonic, like throw it in with the system. It's the selling point for the system now.
And I wonder if it also includes the 6-pack, which was the other day. Okay, sorry, go. I'll let you.
Or you apologize, or they bought it really quickly because it was $10 million of hype, and then everyone realized it was the same game as the first one.
It was not. No. Get him, Friz. You know what? I'm not defending you, right? Get him, Friz.
It is not the same game.
Because they added a purple Chaos Emerald. Is that why it was different?
Yeah, exactly.
Or
you had the spin dash. You had tails.
The first one was just a little. I don't even know if the word "not refined" is like the phrase "not refined" is correct. But the first one just is a great game, fantastic game. But the second one blows it out of the water.
Tell me how it's better. Tell me how the second one is better than first. Tell everyone right now why it's better.
The final boss. Epic battle.
The spin dash in the movement. No, I'm not done with this. Hold on, I'm not done with him yet.
Okay, Dan, you take a shot, and then I got another one to come back with.
Same.
I'm going to pull up my computer and start doing some research.
The spin dash alone makes the playability of that game so much better, not having to get a running start to get the Sonic spin going.
Not you don't need a running start to crash into a wall. I got it. No, you're right.
We're talking.
You only crash into a wall if you're not good, Ray.
Oh, up top.
You get 50 rings. I got it. Because you get 50 rings at the midpoint instead of the end of the level. Then you get the bonus stages. Are these the amazing improvements we're talking about?
Why did this podcast turn into the gunfight at the OK Corral?
So that's okay. We can gunfight. It's all right.
Tell us two amazing things about it.
I'm not going to tell you an amazing thing.
I already gave it.
I'm going to answer the question this way. I'm going to say, like, I don't remember the final boss in Sonic 1, and I don't remember a lot of the levels anymore.
Do you remember 2 though? Do you still play 2? Like, do you go back and play it again?
I've played through 2 a couple times. So I think there was one of the Genesis group on there. There was a challenge there, and I was actually a little disappointed that it was Sonic 1 versus Sonic 2. It was like Green Hill, the Green Hill Zone. But no, okay, hold on. I'm going to try to go through. We had Green Hill Zone. I can't remember the third one. So it was the one with the dinosaurs, I believe. So then you had the casino. The swamp was 6. 7 was.
Let me tell you another casino. This had to be a theme at the time.
I know,
you get a casino there. You got casino in Sonic. You have a casino in Pokemon Red and Blue. There was something about casino in children's video games.
They're all about the gambling. So.
In the 90s.
No, but again, okay, Sonic 1, yeah, it's a great game. Sonic 2 is better. And plus, like, you could take it and you could put it in the Sonic and Knuckles cartridge and get Knuckles.
Oh, there you go, yep.
That was just, again, oil slick zone. The oil zone was another one. So, but then, like, the ending, like, the music of the ending level, just I don't know, concerto, I don't even know what the music term is for, but it builds up. So, and you're I saw that one around. Tails is there, so he's some culture, Ray.
When you play the games, did you unlock Supersonic?
Yes, I did, and maybe not the first time through, but like once I figured out, okay, like the cast.
Bonus stages were definitely better in the second game, no doubt about it.
There we go. See, you just said so. We'll just cut out the bonus stage. The second better. Dan, Dan's
gonna edit me out there.
Perfect.
So, all right, third game on the list. Now we'll get into real stuff here. Jet Force Gemini.
Okay, so this one was, again, the stack of Nintendo 64 games that I wanted to talk about, not including or limited to, again, just to make sure I got here, Diddy Kong Racing, Banjo-Kazooie, like all of the Rare titles. I feel like Rare took off. I mean, Donkey Kong 64.
They went on a nice run on 64.
Killed it. And the controversial statement, I'm just going to say it, Diddy Kong Racing is better than Mario Kart 64. There's no question about it. So
that's a correct statement.
I'm just going to put that one out there. I know, Dan, you're looking at me. But no, so Jet Force Gemini it felt like an indie. Because it was totally out there. Like, we had this brother and sister, ant creatures. Like, it handles like a school bus missing a wheel. Like, the controls are just not that good. And the only, like, it's the Nintendo 64 controller, just not shooter. We're missing the X, right? You got to hold the R button to aim with. And it just made it a little bit huge. But it's got a cool story to it. It's got multiple characters. And it was just entertaining. I remember playing it and just playing it over and over again, trying new things out. There's like a bar in it. But you get to the end of Jet Force Gemini, and then they're like, oh, you have to go back and collect every single koala bear in the game to beat it. And that was like the first, okay. But then, like, if you look at it with the other Rare titles, you have to go through and you have to get 898 notes in Banjo-Kazooie. Like, it kind of fit that grinded out. I know in Donkey Kong 64, there was a grind it out, just get everything in the game. So it's a gem that it was released. I don't think it got a lot of play. And the reason I threw it on there is last one, instead of Tony Hawk or Tiger Woods or Guitar Hero or Halo 3 or any other one, it was that it's just coming out for I hope that people get on there and play it.
I'm definitely gonna get on and play because I never beat it because I played it as a kid and I distinctly remember getting stuck on a Lupus level, the dog, against a boss. I got stuck on a boss where you literally could only move side to side with Lupus and fight the boss. And I know I distinctly remember this as a kid and never getting past it. I'm very excited to play it.
I hope it just aged a little, like just maybe a little fine one. I know it's going to be a little clunky.
It's definitely clunky, but I'm excited.
I've kind of, I'm gonna compare it to something here, and it's totally off base, and it's not true. It reminded me of like the first couple times I played Fortnite. The Fortnite controls, for whatever reason, being third person, were just like a little clunky before I got used to it. And then, so like, it might harken some memory there. Like, okay, kind of, but that was my third person shooter. It was a great game. Absolutely.
Yeah. Shooters on the N64 are tough. I mean, that one, even when there's Winback that's on it now, and I played that one. I remember thinking, like, my God, this game is so good. And I try to play it now on the N64, and like, oh man, shooters with a single analog stick are very difficult to play.
So obviously, GoldenEye was like Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark was the one that I played a ton on there because it was better than GoldenEye for multiplayer.
That's okay. You don't have to mumble that part. You can say it loud.
That's a correct statement.
It's such a good game. Like Perfect Dark multiplayer, awesome. Played a ton of Perfect Dark, and I don't know if the controls was it inverted or not. I don't know. It was just hard to play.
Yeah, they're single analogs are tough for those kind of games.
I'm Commander Nikki, and this is your favorite podcast on gaming. At least, I hope so. Hello, and welcome to the trailer of Nikki's Gaming Universe, the show where I, Nikki, will talk about all things gaming. Things such as different genres, soundtracks, music, art. Are video games art? Yes, they are. That's not up for debate. I will talk about my favorite games, gaming moments, gaming movies and shows, also different kinds of gaming media in general. From action-adventure games to zen-like casual games. Just everything I want to talk about when it comes to gaming. So get your controllers and keyboards or whatever you want to use to play ready and enjoy the show.
All right, so we move to the future now. One game you were looking forward to, and this one is a game a decade in the making. Just leaked. I mean, I was reading articles that came out an hour before this saying that December 12th is going to be the pre-order day.
Oh, so the pre-order is going to drop. I thought the trailer was going to drop.
December 7th is the Game Awards. That's when we'll probably get the trailer.
You might hear it, but what I'm hearing is the 12th is when you can pre-order it. Grand Theft Auto 6.
I could talk about the whole series. And again, complete opposite of anything Nintendo related, because I'm a Nintendo freak. Every system that it was. So GTA, let's see here, GTA 4, the reason I bought a PlayStation 3. The reason I bought a PlayStation 5 was GTA 5, and I will buy for GTA 6, I'll buy a PlayStation 4. I'm sorry, 5. So I'm just going to...
Those numbers were all over the place.
I know. I think they might have been off, but you kind of get, like, I was a step back with
you could have just said for Grand Theft Auto 5, you would have bought a PlayStation 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, that's right. It was on both. I forgot.
It started on the 3. Yeah.
Now it's on the. Can't you get it on the Switch now? Which I can't imagine to play.
They don't have GTA 5 on there, but they've got 4. Okay. Yeah,
they have 4 on the Switch.
Yeah, I won't bother with those. But no. So yeah, I'm just I didn't play GTA Online. In fact, my only real online game. Those are like the 2 games that I played. But no. So GTA, I love that they are going. Vice City was a killer game, whole Scarface storyline. But no, I'm absolutely looking forward to it. Rockstar is not going to not produce the game. It's going to be, again, we're talking about in terms of like Sonic 2 being launched and making a shit ton of money. Like this one is going to drop and it's going to be the fastest purchase game ever. It's going to, every single record, Rockstar is going to be back on top of the hill. And plus, it's just going to be an awesome game. Like they're not going to make a bad one. And if they did, I don't even know where to... Like, it's not going to be, right? Like, again, you said 10 years in production. So,
they've made billions of dollars off of 5. They're not gonna screw this up.
Yeah, they're going to be making another $1 billion. They're just going to print money like they can. But what it's going to do is it's going to force me to buy the PlayStation 5, which I'm all about. Like, there's a couple games on there that I've been meaning to play that I want to play. Horizon Forbidden West. Like, I want to get into that game because I played the first one. I never finished the first one. So, like I said, the list to cut this down was tough. I had a ton that I could have gone with. So,
hey, any thoughts on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? We're continuing the remakes. I know you're looking forward to that one.
I want to see it go, and I'm excited about it. I remember Basic was actually, when he was on the podcast, he was talking about it a little bit too. Like the first one was just, it sucked you into the story in a different way than I feel like the original one did for the PlayStation. It was so well done. The music is phenomenal. And I'm just looking forward to getting out and actually exploring the whole world. So it was, again, it's going to bring back memories, and it should be less linear than the first remake. So like the first chapter of the remake. So looking forward to that as well.
All right. So next we take a question from the Channel 3 history books. We pick for you to discuss. We don't give you a heads up on this one. We have an idea of what games we're going to talk about. So Ray and I make sure, you had a pretty familiar list for us. We didn't have to look anything up today, but we're going to surprise you with this one. We're going to ask you your favorite Atari 2600 game. We're going to go back in time.
Oh my gosh, that one is deep there.
Yeah, way back in time.
Atari 2600. Okay, so I'm going to have a hard time grabbing. I think, okay, was there a game, it wasn't Asteroids, but it was one where you were, like was it like a missile defense or something? You were like,
yeah, there was missile defense, yeah.
Missile defense. Like, I feel like that was the one that I tried the most with. Like, you'd shoot up and you'd explode the rays and everything like that. So my Atari 2600 for me was found at a yard sale when I was like, I don't know, maybe like 12 years old. I found one with all the games, and we had an old TV that we could hook it up to. And I remember like Frogger and like Asteroid and like all those coming up. But yeah, like I feel like Missile Command would be like if it's the right one that I'm thinking of, where you shoot up and you block the rays from coming down into the ground. Like that was the one that.
Yep,
that's the description. Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I can't date myself with this one. I was not out when it came out, but as a 12-year-old kid, just that loved video games. Like, wow, that was pretty cool. Like, let's check this one out. Atari 2600. That is a pull. Unexpected.
And a final question we ask everybody: what's been your favorite feature on Channel 3 so far?
Aside the community, just because I feel like that could be the answer for every single person that here and chats with you guys and interacts with everybody on there, because it has been a treat. It is 100% Target, and that's the right answer to that question. I use it as motivation in the morning to get work done. Like, I make it so, like, okay, I've got a little bit of time in the morning, prep done for the day. Like, if I've got copies I've got to make, if I've got to just answer a couple emails, like, I do not do the 3 mini games until I get to that point where I don't have anything else that's like pressing on my desk. So sometimes I don't get to them till like 11 o'clock, noon, whatever. Like, I might have a down moment teaching. And I go in order. I do Enhance first, then I do Trivia, and then I save Target. And I always, like, as soon as I click it, and the Jedi's throwing them up there the night before, like, first, if I don't see the Mario Kart one, I do get a little sad. But I go through and I look at the cup and I'm thinking, okay, what are the courses that we have here? And I get them in my head. I'm like, all right, then I click it, and I always do it on a computer now too, because I got to be real precise with it. But yeah, Target is 100% the thing. It's a great little, like, gets me engaged with it every single day. I'm always looking forward to it. So the community as a whole has been awesome, interacting with different people. I mean, just like these, this chat that we're having right now has just been such a great thing to have with it. So that's all I'll say with it.
And with that, we've made it to the end of another What Are You 3 podcast. Thank you for being here today. You can find the podcast at c3.gg/podcast, dropping every Wednesday morning at 3:33 a.m. Eastern on all the major platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. I'm Ray. Dan Tucker puts this all together. And for our executive producer, Joel Willis, have a good day, everybody.
All right, Friz, what's your manifesto? What you can run down your manifesto, shout them out.
Oh my gosh, I literally, I've got. Oh, I think I actually said everything.
It stuck them all in.
They all came up at various points.
I'm like Tiger Woods. We've got in there.
Tony Hawk, great. Tony Hawk on the N64. My gosh, I play this.
So the one for the N64, like, again, that was where the controller was like a huge benefit for it.
Oh yeah, because the tricks are all on the C button, really easy to kind of grab.
It was easy to hit them. They're right there. It felt like it fit your hand really good. But then it just eventually get into the PlayStation ones with Underground. I grinded them. And then the Tiger Woods games, I'm a golfer, and I was a little bit in high school. Like, I just enjoy it. And my grandfather was a big golfer too. So, like, they were just well put together games. I feel like that was EA's, it was kind of like their heyday, because that's when NCAA, like 2002, 2003 were out. Like, they were just making good games, banger after banger. So I'm trying to think what else I had on my list. Halo 3, so many hours in college playing it. So just an absolute joy. I'm not quite Greg when it comes to Discord, but I'm pretty inept. I'm going to see to use that word.
Ganon Slayer catching strays, even when he has nothing to do with it.
Get him before we start recording, at least.
Oh,
Be polite about it.
See, that's where you gotta learn a life lesson. The record button's always hit somewhere. I just hit it in time for that. Lost it hours and hours again.
It. Man, what is going on here?
I don't know. I'm glad it's not just me, because it makes me feel. I was worried. I don't know what's going on.
Is it just my mic that's cutting out?
It is. I don't know.
Whenever that background noise comes on, that's when it's going to cut out. And then I don't know if that's your computer's fan going.
Maybe. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close everything else down. I think this computer voted for Obama in the first term, so it's a little dated. Where are we? I'm just going to get
Ray literally could not vote then, could you?
Discord.
And, oh wait, no, my first election was 2012. Well, but first presidential. Yeah, my first would have been Senate 2010. Yeah, okay, that would be my first one.